Let's fight for our lives, for our children, for our planet, for our futures, and we will not turn back.
We are tired of the shutdowns and the showdowns, of the gridlock and the grandstanding.
We will meet lies and hate with the truth and a vision for the future.
Well, the field of Democrats is taking shape as Senators Warren and Klobuchar are officially in, while Beto O'Rourke is holding a counter rally to the president tonight. Good morning and welcome to Morning Joe. It is Monday, February 11th. With us, we have MSNBC contributor Mike Barnicle, political writer for the New York Times, and MSNBC political analyst Nick Confessori, president of the Council on Foreign Relations and the author of the book A World in Disarray, Richard Haass, former chief of staff to the DCCC and former director of strategic communications for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, now an MSNBC contributor, Adrian Elrod, and you saw him on Saturday Night Live. Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist and associate editor of The Washington Post and MSNBC political analyst Eugene Robinson will be joining us in just a moment. So we've got a lot to get to. Wow. New poll numbers on how voters in Virginia are dealing with the controversies there, what it means for the state's leadership. It looks like the governor might stay, but Fairfax might go. You never know. Plus, Saudi Arabia denies any connection to an alleged blackmail attempt of Amazon's CEO. We'll show you what the lawyer for AMI, the National Enquirer's publisher, says about the story. And President Trump sends a glowing tweet about North Korea. No mention, however, of that country's nuclear arsenal. We'll get to all of that, but first, Joe, another busy weekend for the presidential field of Democrats.
Another busy weekend. It continues. Michael Bennet also on Meet the Press yesterday suggesting he may jump into the race, a Colorado senator who recently took on Ted Cruz on the showdown of the government shutdown with the showdown on the Senate floor. Would be a very impressive candidate, certainly occupying a more centrist vision of what the Democratic Party should be going up against Donald Trump. But I'm just curious, Nick Confessori, Dave Weigel with the Washington Post, I think put it best that it was a curious election, the ice planet Hoth, for Amy Klobuchar to announce
I loved it.
Her run for president in 2020. How did she do?
Well, look, it was a truly Minnesota moment there for Amy Klobuchar, and true to form, she powered right through. In some ways, it was a photo op for Twitter, but the announcement previewed the themes that we'll see. She's going to run as a moderate progressive, so to speak, a Midwesterner, someone who can play nice with both sides, but push for important priorities on the left, who will be perhaps a little more bipartisan than some people on the left have been in the last few weeks. I think her lane is compared to some of these candidates. But what has really struck me, Joe, and I just got to say this, there are now a collection of candidates for this nomination, and I think there's only a single straight white guy in the entire bunch, which is a real shift from any election past that we've seen and a sign of the diversity in that party.
It really is something. And another woman announced earlier this weekend, Elizabeth Warren. And I'm just curious, Adrian Elrod, how do you think her announcement was? And am I the only person in America who thinks the Native American controversy is something that probably will not last into the spring?
Yeah, Joe, I think you're exactly right. I mean, Elizabeth Warren has done such a fantastic job of really staying on message. Her message of, bridging the gap between the middle class and the wealthy, cleaning up Washington, cleaning up the corruption. That is something that has stood out in each and every one of her aspects of her rollout. You know, when you're running for president, especially in a very crowded field like we're facing right now, your rollouts really do matter. You know, you've got to make sure that you communicate your message and really hone in on what is causing you, what is driving you to run for president. I think both Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren exceeded in that. And I also want to give props to Amy Klobuchar's advance team for putting together the kind of event they did in 4-degree temperatures. That's pretty impressive.
Incredible.
It was impressive. They may want to think about a temporary roof next time.
I liked it. I think it was. It had grit. It was great.
She talked about grit at the end of the speech. It showed grit. I will say though, Mika, again, I'm never one to give unsolicited advice, so why start now? But it seems to me that Elizabeth Warren needs to stop explaining what's behind her and start explaining what's in front of her for the country. I think she's talked about this issue enough. Let bloggers and let people on Twitter talk about what she wrote on applications 25, 30 years ago. Tell Americans where we're going to be 25, 30 years from now. I've run a few times on a small scale, on a small level, and I can tell you, voters are interested in their future.
Yeah.
Not so much your past.
Yeah, and she's got a solid past in terms of her work, her heart, her message. And that saying that I live by comes to mind. Don't trip over what's behind you. Move forward.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.